Hey guys, how's it going? Brandon here. Welcome back to more PPL. I'm back this week after Trog did such an amazing job last week. We're here for week 5, Division 1 weekly recap. And like I said, I'm not alone. We are back together this week. I'm here with good old friend Trog.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back again this week. Luckily not going solo. Brandon's back here. So glad to be doing this once again together. Gonna do an awesome job this week. And I hope everyone is super excited for all the matches we're going over this week for PPL.
The matches this week were really good once again. Like I said, before we get into this, if you want to check out any of the videos, any of the coaches, and us too ourselves, definitely make sure you go into the description down below. All the links will be there. You can follow our Twitter. There's a Discord group that you can join as well. There's also like a t-shirt. So like we've been meant to mention this stuff. There's like t-shirts, so you can buy t-shirts for your like favourite coaches and everything. Like all that good stuff is down in the description. But with further ado, I'm going to pass over to Trog, and he's going to announce the first match of the week.
Alright, so we had a lot of really nail-biters, like really close games. A lot of good people going head-to-head. And first of which is Polymac and the West Coast Wingles versus Monotui and the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Of course, each of them bringing Mayan Chow, Thunderous Therian, Garchomp, Donphan, Misprit, Mega Scizor, while Mono brought Victini, Hydreigon, Swampert, Gliscor, Mega Venusaur, and Cofagrigus. Now, the first thing I noticed about this game is Paul didn't really have much on paper that he could do to deal with the Mega Venusaur, so that would have been a huge problem for him. Of course, he does a really good job with sweeping with Thunderous Therian and Garchomp, both of which are pretty decently walled by Mega Venusaur, so he had to like really struggle to get something going to kill that.
Yeah, like when looking at the team straight away, I agree. The first thing I noticed was how on earth is he going to deal with Mega Venusaur? And I was like looking at the team immediately. I was like, okay, he's got Donphan, has Ice Shard, and Earthquake is neutral. Thunderous T is a massive, good special attacker. But then I was thinking like Ice, and I was thinking, fuck, it's got Thick Fat. This is going to be very difficult for Paulie to deal with. But as you can see from the result, a 4-0 victory to Paulie, he dealt with it basically. Just going through notes and stuff. Straight away, it was amazing prep on Paulie's side for how he dealt with the team in general. It was I think Mono was expecting like a defensive Mesprit maybe, and it was where it was offensive. Straight out the bat, the Mesprit was on the attack and was getting big damage off.
And of course, shoutouts to No Item Acrobatics Mienchow, which did manage to. Like Paul said, I don't know if Mono missed it not having an item or not, but it was able to set up a sword stance and do massive damage with acrobatics.
Yes, that was awesome. I just remember that. I say, like, he wanted the things like the Gliscor to come in just to get damage off, because he wanted all that chip damage to be able to do what he did with Garchomp. And with Garchomp getting 4 kills in the match total, he was able to do that properly, and it showed that the prep on Paulie's side was amazing. He's going off an amazing week, winning another championship early on. Was it late last week he won a championship? And it's just like, he's on a roll.
Absolutely on a roll. And it was just really great prep. He had his head in the game the whole time and just knew what he needed to do to win.
I don't think it was Mono's best performance. I've seen him play a lot better. I'm sure he'll bounce back. I'm not sure who he's got next week, but I'm sure this won't get him down too much. The Tampa Bay Luxrays will bounce back 100%.
Alright, and going on to our next game, we have Jolt from the Token Minorities and the Toronto Staraptors versus Shoddy and Bayern Munich, respectively bringing Clefable, Thunderous, Diggersby, Mega Slowbro, Drapion, Decidueye, while Shoddy had his disgusting core, Zardex, Tapu Fini, and Jirachi, while also bringing Glalie for the first time, making its debut, Seismitoad, and Serperior, I believe, also making its debut.
Everyone wanted Glalie to do so much. I was reading through the comments and everyone was like, oh, they shouldn't have stacked Glalie off so early. It would have done so well. But I do agree with Shardy's core. And I want to say for the first time this season, Shardy hasn't been able to use Mega Zardex the way he's done before and been able to destroy. But like we said, this was an amazing game between them both.
It was an amazing game. It was it looked really back and forth for a while, but early game it really seemed like Shoddy had really good control of the game. Like he was really confident despite what he said about being so nervous going against Jolt, who we all know that he's such a fantastic prepper and player.
But it was like what I liked so much is like what I felt like Shoddy had the control just because like the hazards he had. And the fact Jolt wasn't able to, Jolt knew he was limited to the amount of turns like he could switch in Diggersby or how much he wanted to do with like Decidueye. But we'll say that the massive part of it was the fact that Jolt had 3 Scarfers in the Decidueye, the Thunderous, and the Diggersby. Yeah,
3 Scarfers, yeah. Yeah, and that really caught off. Yeah, Decidueye was one of the Scarfers, and then, of course, Diggersby, and I think he was predicting that one, but then his third Scarfer just, like, really threw him off, and I think, if anything, that's what lost him the game, is just being completely unaware to, like, oh, this is definitely not a Scarfer, but, oh, wait, it is.
Yeah, it's like normally like people like will bring generally like 1 Scarfer to be able to outspeed something on the opposing team, but the fact that Jolt brought 3 to deal with certain aspects of the team was just out of the massive ordinary, and the fact that it paid off for him. I do want to give a massive shout out to Superior though for taking that Z move. Just proves so much how much natural bulk Superior has. Like, I know Clefable's not the biggest when it comes in attack, but that's still a Z stab move, and the fact that it took it as well was just I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, but of course Shoddy's still gonna say that, oh, Z moves are so broken, look how much damage this did to my Superior.
Yeah, Shoddy's not a fan of Z moves too much, even though his did he use a Z move to take out something?
It was a corkscrew, corkscrew crash against the Decidueye, I think with his Jirachi.
Yeah, Jirachi. I was like, I swear it was corkscrew crash, and I was like, was that right? I was trying to remember. Yeah, it was. But yeah, fantastic game on both. And like listen, it came down to rolls and prediction, because we think that the Earthquake to take out the Tapu Fini was definitely a roll, and Jolt did get the max roll to be able to take the Tapu Fini down. But then again,
but even then, there were a few like predictions and 50-50s at the very end of the game, but it just so happened that Jolt made like all the right plays. Sure, he got like, you know, the correct rolls that he needed, but the entire time was just playing exactly the way he needed to get this win.
Yeah, another aspect they said about, as well as reading the comments as well, is that Jolt didn't realise that Taunt on the Clefable wore off on the switch into the Jirachi early on in the game. And Jolt said that if he did realise that, he maybe could have saved the Drapion. So I don't know if that comes into play or anything. But like I said, it's all predictions of 50-50 rolls.
Right.
Anything can happen. One turn can change the majority of the match. Like we said, if the Diggersby wouldn't have taken out the Tapu Fini with that Earthquake, Shoddy would have won. It was literally stuff like that. That's how close these games keep getting. It's down to
it came
rolls
just down to the last couple turns there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, moving on to our next match, we have Baby Eric in the Seattle Onyx versus Will, Makati, and the Bouffalant Bills. Eric brought Weavile, Landorus Therian, Mega Alakazam, Raikou, Delmize, and Diancie, while Makati brought Nihilego, Skarmory, Hitmonlee, Vaporeon, Shaman, and Delphox.
Looking at both teams, like going into the game, obviously with the Weavile and the Landorus, with Eric, I was just looking at it, and I keep seeing like different things, and like looking at Will's team brood as well as with the Scarf, can't say it, and I can never say it, Nihilego and the Shaman being brought as well. We're seeing so much how much Shaman can do, and I was looking at it, I was thinking, okay, so a Seed Flare, the only thing that's really going to appreciate that thing is the Delmize, and then even then it's not going to be able to take 2 depending on Shaman's set, and looking at it is exactly really what happened throughout the game. And like I said, just straight away, the cut this long story short, it was a 5-0 win to Will, and it was 4 kills for Unburden Hitmonlee after getting the Endure and the Reversal, and it was just able to clean up house. and do so much damage.
Yeah, Makati did some fantastic prep. He found like exactly what he needed to punch holes in Eric's team, which was the same in putting in some absolutely necessary early game work. And yeah, it was just kung fu fighting from there. The unburdened Hitmonlee set, Eric just did not have a good switch in for it. Once it got down to 1 HP, it had nothing could take it. Just did its job. 4 kills, 0 deaths, 5-0 win.
I just keep thinking that the way that the team's going, like each Will, Will started off not too great at the beginning of the season, and so far it's just his prep's been getting slightly better and slightly better and slightly better, and now it's led up to this match, and he's just knew exactly what to do with the Shaman, and he's made a few transfers and it's popped through, and this Hitmonlee again has been a massive pain in the ass to some people's sides. And it's just been doing the finest of work, and there was nothing Eric could really do. Like maybe, like you said straight away, he tried the sub Mega Alakazam against something else that wasn't maybe the Shaman. He could have done, maybe he was expecting the Skarmory lead, maybe even Delphox Carmine. You never know. But I'm sure he was expecting something along those lines for him to be able to set up a substitute. But unfortunately, it was the right lead for Will to be able to start off with the Shaman, and it was just led from there. Will was just on the accelerator the entire game, and it just led to what happened.
Yeah, Will has definitely been on a roll, and unfortunately, Eric's continuing on a bit of a slump this season. I think this is his 4th loss in a row, which is very unfortunate. But I'm sure he's gonna bounce back. Like he's a great battler, and he's got a terrifying team. It's just that it may be a bit of a slump that some coaches are out prepping him these past few weeks.
I say, like his first week, he was top of the table after the first week. He come out the gate absolutely running, and it seems like he's run out this gate and just into a wall of some sort. I'm sure that he'll be able to bounce back. I'm not sure who he's got next week. I'm gonna have a look quick. He's got Shadow Gaming next week in I can never say that.
Canberra 2 Cannons.
That's it. So never know. Next week is a completely different game, completely different team. We'll have to wait and see what happens there.
Alright, so moving on to our next game, we have the Don Fanatic, Jack and the Norwich Skitty, versus Kelly Under the Radar and the Maryland Torterrapins. Each of them Jack brought Necrozma, Infernape, Gastrodon, Togekiss, Electivire, and Mega Beedrill. And Kelly has Zapdos, Kyurem Black, Mew, Greninja, Darmanitan, and Fortress.
So, I watched Jack's video earlier on today, and the way he said that Kelly's team itself, he's only got 2 other Mons in his draft, so he was expecting these exact 6 Mons to come. And the way that Jack's been prepping this season so far, how he prepped against Shardy and other players, he's prepped really well. I was expecting Jack to do really well this game, and it ended up being a very, very close game and a 1-0 win to Kelly. But like I said, I don't think it was Jack's best game this season.
I think it really came down to he was just, his prep is a little bit off this season. Or not this season, this game. I want to focus a little bit on the Necrozma set. He did bring a really spicy set this week with Rock Polish and Charge Beam, which of course he would need to hit the Greninja with even if he didn't want the boosts. But the fact that he not only relied on something that most people are going to really over prep for, he also brought it in such early game and immediately started setting up. I don't think this was the right set for him to bring. If he wanted to bring some really heat sets, he should have done so with something that Kelly would prep a bit less for. But something like Necrozma, you're gonna.
The one thing that I picked up on the set, obviously, like you're saying, with him using Charge Beam and the Rock Polish, the Rock Polish is fine. Like he said, maybe if he brought SD, it would have been a bit different. But another thing he's also relying on with the Charge Beam is that actually the fact that he needs to get the boost from it. And it's not a guaranteed boost to plus special attacks. So even using it is a risk. So like I said, it was very spicy and very risky. And in the end, it didn't pay off for him. If it would have done, it would have done so much work and it would have worked perfectly. But like I said, maybe using it so early game and starting off with it wasn't his best idea. Maybe getting rid of a few mons and being reliant on it a little bit later on in game would have been better. Because I don't know, it just with it straight away.
If it was later game and a few of Kelly's checks for it had gone down, and he just like, it was like, you know, whatever the score would have been otherwise, and he brought it in and it was just like caught him off guard, that would have been a different story. But Kelly's game this week was on point, I think. Yeah,
definitely. I think even though it was very close, I think Kelly was very cool and calm when it comes to the game. He knew what he needed to do. He knew what he needed to switch in, and it just come down to a few things. And Jack knew at one point that he was beat, but he did his best to get the differential down to just 1-0. I would say it was very unlucky with the static on the Infernape after hitting the Zapdos, but that's just the way things go sometimes. Obviously, it's ability for a reason. And if it's there, it will happen from time to time. It was unfortunate, but this is the way it goes. I don't think it mattered the game too much, but maybe it did because it was his Scarfer. But then again, looking back at it, I think Kelly was very cool and calm and would have been able to do exactly the same if he wasn't paralysed as well.
Yeah, Kelly was very like calm and level-headed this game, and there were a few times where he just knew like, okay, I can bring this in and essentially get a kill, which is not surprising considering he's got the Greninja, the Darmanitan, the Kyurem Black, which is such a scary team, and he played very well with it this game, I thought.
Fantastic game this week by both of them. I'm going to move on to the next game, Cleveland Bros versus the I can never say the bloody name right, Cabrera 2 Cannons or something along those lines. And the teams were, for Cleveland Bros, you got the Pelipper, the Ferrothorn, the Mamoswine, the Tapu Koko, the Breloom, and the Sceptile. And for Shadow Gaming Height, he bought the Arcanine, the Primarine, the Jolteon, the Latias, the Celesteela, and the Terrakion. And looking at the team straight away, I thought the rain isn't going to be so much an aspect for Ruby than actually what it ended up being. I thought simply because of the fact of the Primarina, he doesn't want that Primarina to get so much up with the Mamoswine being weak. But then again, like the Breloom was able to counter anything that he wanted to bring on, and the Scolipede again, just being able to wrap up the game. But this was a very good game between them. I think again, the Pelipper wasn't dealt with as well as it should have been, and the aspect of Arcanine going down turn 1 was huge, considering Arcanine checked off Scolipede, Breloom. It even hit the Mamoswine, and Wild Charge would have hit the Pelipper, and a fire type move obviously would have hit Ferrothorn as well. So Arcanine ticked off a lot of his team, and losing it turn 1 I think was massively huge for Shadow Gaming.
Yeah, I think that the turn 1 Pelipper play really It was from that turn that Ruby had won, because, like you said, Arcanine teched so many things on his team, and even in the rain, like the Arcanine, even against a rain team, would have done so much work against Ruby. Probably needed it for, like you said, the Scolipede, the Breloom, but Ruby just was able to kill it first turn.
For a lot of the game, I was really like back and forth between like who was controlling this game and where was it going. And in all honesty, at some points, I definitely thought that the Jolteon Latias Primarina was going to be able to deal with what Ruby had left. But back in my mind, completely forgot that he had the Scolipede, and getting the paralysis on the Latias for the Ferrothorn actually was massive, considering that the Scolipede was able to come in, Mega Horn, down goes Latias, and it was just able to clear up basically again. Scolipede's been Ruby's trump card to just come in at the end, get the speed boost, and just do exactly what it's meant to do. Picking up another 3 kills and no deaths, it's just proven to be an absolute monster this season, and Ruby's used it to its full potential.
Absolutely. And like you said about the Jolteon, I think there's a potential for Colton to play just a little bit better with it. When I was watching the game, I saw it as a decent check to the Tapu Koko, which for a while was just putting in the heaviest amount of work against his team. And if he was able to get to a point with the electric terrain up and be able to outspeed everything unboosted, But like you said, unfortunately, the Latias was paralyzed early on, and I think he needed that to fall back on for a few things.
So near the end of the game, Ruby was on edge. Ruby didn't know if he was going to be able to pull off the win against Colton. He completely forgot that you can't put anything to sleep in electric terrain, which he set up himself, and then went for the spore with the Breloom, and he was just all over the place. Luckily he was able to control himself, keep calm, and think about what he was actually meant to be doing, and was able to bring back the win for the Scolipede. But he was on edge for a bit, and it was an opportunity for Colton to take charge, but I still massively think that losing the Arcanine turn 1 was a massive factor of this game, and if he hadn't lost it turn 1, I reckon it could have been a different outcome. I really do.
Yep. Of course, Ruby is still at the top of the league. He was still even after his first loss last week, and he's just playing amazingly. Knows how to use his draft to its fullest potential, and another great showing of that.
Definitely.
So moving on to our last game, we have Better Jack in the Melbourne Victory Star versus Jordan in the Southampton Sneasel. Better Jack brought Ninetales, Tapu Bulu, Silvally, which was a water this week, Heatran, Scizor, and Victory Bell, while Jordan had the Manaphy, the Kyurem, the Volcarona, the Bronzong, Mega Sableye, and Excadrill.
Looking straight at the team straight off the bat, I was thinking, okay, so Jordan has brought his ground resist, and Better Jack doesn't have a ground type. So it was going to be interesting to see what was going to expire. Like say the Ninetales has been putting in the absolute finest of work the last few weeks. Tapu Bulu's a monster. Having the Heatran with the drought is scary as anything. But then obviously on the other side, the Victory Bell in the sun with Chlorophyll is very quick and very scary. Scizor in the sun isn't so great, but again, Better Jack knows how to use it well to how to do it. And then looking at Jordan's, he had the Manaphy to counter the sun, I'm guessing. Kyurem, Volcarona, Bronzong, Mega Sableye, hoping it puts to work, and Excadrill. And Excadrill doing really well this game. Finally, I know at a very good League Mon, Jordan was able to use it really well, picking up 3 kills this game. Unfortunately, getting the 1-0 loss. Still unable to pick up his first win of the season. But actually a very good showing from Jordan this week, a very good battle.
This game was an absolute nail-biter, and it's one of the many that came down to the very last turn, where even while Stealth Rocks does close to nothing to Excadrill, the few times that it was switched in did allow Bullet Punch to pick up the last kill.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting about Better Jack's prep is most people have been looking at Jordan's teams and finding holes. We've always been talking about the lack of a ground resistor immunity, which he did patch up on his roster with the Bronzong and the Whimsicott, which of course Bronzong can have the Levitate ability, but this week brought Heat Proof, which is interesting because Jack noticed that the coverage that Ninetales brought could easily break down everything on his team, which it was able to very effectively do so. Fire coverage is extremely good against the roster that he brought.
Yeah. But it's like, let's say, when Ninetales getting the 3 kills and 1 deaths, so I think Jordan had the chance with the Manaphy. I do remember correctly, he was able to get a Tail Glow off, but Better Jack was able to use his roster perfectly. I think bringing Water Silvally was very good prep on his side. I think he knew that having the Water Silvally would check off Manaphy definitely. Tapu Bulu not able to do anything really this week, as we've seen it do in previous weeks.
The Resistance Berry on Manaphy to be able to take the Grass Hit, I thought that was the interesting way to deal with Tapu Bulu. This game had a surprising amount of berries. I think I counted at least 5 that were used. Like when it was Heatran versus the Volcarona, and Heatran, they both used the respective berry. I think it was a ground and a rock berry on each of their moves.
Yeah, I noticed that. So it was just there was just berries popping left, right, and centre. I'm thinking these two prepped so well this week for respective, like you say, respective barriers, and there was just they'd do a move and a berry would go, and then, like you said, another move would go and another berry would go, and it's like, Jesus, these two have properly done their research for this week. But it shows the dedication that these two wanted to get for a week. Obviously, Better Jack wasn't able to play his week 4 game, so going into it, he needed that win to keep it in the table, because he didn't want to drop down from not being able to play. And Jordan's still looking for his first win. He's proper pulling out the big gun to try and get that first win, and he did come so close this week. And next week, having to play, who's he got next week? He's got to play other Jack next week in Norwich Skitty, so that's definitely going to be an interesting match between those two. I'm going to be looking forward to that.
If the rate of their respective preps has gone, unfortunately Jack's prep is on a bit of a tilt, while Jordan's is just doing so much work. If that rate continues, then I think Jordan will get his first win against Jack. I mean, of course, his team is scary. He's got a mana fee, so we'll see when that match comes, if they're who's able to out prep who.
Yeah, definitely looking at prep this week. I think it by everyone, the prep has been on point so far this season for a lot of people. Maybe some few under predictions or over predictions on certain ones, and maybe certain sets haven't been so right. But 9 times out of 10, I would say that the prep from everyone has been absolutely top form.
A lot of fantastic games this week, and one, looking back at each one of them, a very fun thing that I noticed is at least one Pokemon from each game this week got at least 3 kills and 1 death. You're looking at each of them. There's 3-0, there's 3-0, there's 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-1. A lot of Pokemon were just carrying the teams this week, getting a ton of kills, which I thought it was just interesting that we saw that on each game this week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking for it now myself. It's like, so you got the Garchomp, you got the Diggersby, we got the Hitmon Leaf for Wheel. You got it's like these Ninetales did well, and then the Executial, and the Scolipede. It's just so back and forth between the teams this week. It made, like you said, every game nail biting this week. But let's move on and see how it's affected the league.
The league table. Of course, this table still does reflect the lack of a game between Kelly and Better Jack. They will be playing in the bye week that's coming up, so the league table will finally correct itself after that.
Yeah, was there going to be an announcement for that saying that we've got a bye week coming up?
Yeah, the coaches have been saying in their videos that next week they won't have an upload, except hopefully for Kelly and Better Jack finally getting to play their game. So still at the top of the league table, we have the Cleveland Bros, who got his 4th win this week. Total of 28 kills, 19 deaths, and a +9 differential.
Second, we have McCartney and the Buffalo Bills, and I said at the beginning of the season that Will is going to be a big problem for people, and everyone was like, yeah, he's a good he's a great battler. And at the beginning of the season, he was near the bottom, and he was around the 10th, 8th, 9th, and he didn't get off to the great start. Now he's second. He has bounced back massively. Now have a +5 differential, 5 games played, 3 wins, 2 losses. But like I said, it's between 2nd and 7th. They've all got 3 wins, and it's still extremely close.
It's still an extremely close game. Even without 1 game played, we have 3rd place Kelly and the Maryland Torterrapins. Just 4 games played, but with 3 wins and 1 loss, and a +5 differential.
So depending on the differential, Kelly has a massive chance to go top of the table if he does beat Better Jack. But then again, with Better Jack being his prep this week, he's going to be tough to beat. So we'll have to wait for that match. But yeah, Kelly has a chance to go top of the table with his.
He's got a really good chance to be top of the table. But of course, Jack is also has a good chance to get higher up in the rankings right now. So our 4th place, we have Polymac, who, of course, we said he's just been absolutely tearing it up this season.
Like I say, he's got the momentum now. He's like I say, he's played some tough opponents, and he's still got a few to go. He's definitely got some few games that are gonna have to bring the best out of him. But he's definitely on a roll now, and like I said, he definitely wants to be challenging for that title, and we've still got quite a few games to go, and I definitely think he can challenge for it. He's on the roll, like you said, and if he keeps the momentum going,
he has 3 wins and 2 losses now, and a +4 differential, and has just been on an absolute roll. I think he's going to be just moving up from here on out. He mentioned that he's over some of his most difficult matches, and now he's just got to play the same way that he's been playing to stay at the top of the table there. And 5th place, we have Jolt and the Toronto Star Raptors, picked up after a 2-game losing streak, back at 3-2, which is starting to get a pretty crowded spot in the table here. We've got a lot of 3-2 teams, a couple 2-3 ones. But Jolt's still beating a few people in the differential. He's got a +2 differential with his 3-2 record. And he is definitely one of the other people like really contending for the title at this point, if he can continue his win streak again.
I remember us saying a couple of weeks ago that we're going to start seeing players that play for differential. I definitely think Jolt so far has been, probably in my eyes, the main person who I've seen has been playing for differential, and this is one of the reasons that shows it. Being at the, let's say, +2 differential, being able to be close to Polymac, like he's been trying his best to get the differential on it, and it's the reason that he's been put above Shadi and Mono in the table. And it's definitely going to be interesting. Like you said, he's going to be challenging for the title. We know how good of a battler Jolt is, and he's going to be one to watch out for sure.
Yeah, speaking of Shadi and Mono, we have 6th and 7th, both of whom, again, with the 3-2 record. Shadi with the +1 differential, while Mono with the -1 differential.
Yeah, with the 4-0 loss to Paulie, it has dropped Mono down a little bit. It shouldn't put him up, like I said in my bit. I don't think he should get disheartened about it too much. Like I said, Paulie's on a massive roll. I'm sure he's gonna bounce back. That 4-0 defeat is a huge blow in his differential stage, and maybe a little bit less would have put him above Shadi, or maybe level on. But it's the reason why he's the bottom of the 3-2 games this week.
And of course we have Better Jack in the Melbourne Victory Star, who is currently 2-2. His next game could make him go either way. Still with the +2 differential, so if he gets a big win against Kelly, it'll push him straight up to the table. Otherwise, he could go just a few places down. But these, between 2 and 8, this area is getting so crowded that it could just move around so much depending on who gets a big win here, who gets a bad loss there. So it's really anyone's game. Like, even 2nd place is a really tight race at the moment.
Oh, it's one of those things where throughout the season it's going to be back and forth between a load of places, and it's what makes the league so exciting is the fact that it's not everyone's dead in one position. It's literally one game between 2 people can change the table upside down completely, and it's what's exciting about the league. It's exciting to make you want to come back and see the next game, because your favourite team could go from 9th to 3rd in one game depending on results. It's that simple, and it's that crazy. It just makes the league exciting.
Speaking of going from 9th to 3rd, we've got other Jack in the North, Skitty, currently 2-3 with a -2 differential. And we'll see if he gets a big win. He could very well go straight up to 3rd place. If his
yeah, but it's Jack, so he won't.
If his prep is good, if his head's in the game, he could definitely bounce up to 3rd place. I think that is possible at this time.
I think, like, looking at it, he does have Jordan, and saying from, like, as well as Jordan's played this week, he's still without the first wing. So I think if Jack's going to have a chance to bounce up the table as best he can, he's got to seize the opportunity against Jordan and do so. But looking for definitely, as I said, that's one match I'm definitely going to be looking forward to next week. It's going to be Jack versus Jordan.
And coming in at 10th place, we've got the Canberra, I can't pronounce that word, Canberra Toucannon. Canberra. 2 wins, 3 losses, and a -5 differential. Of course,
yeah, I was going to say, what I think about this is the reason that, well, I was going to say so low down, is now that they've got the confusion of the owner of the team out of the way and the manager, like now it's onto Colton, I really think that hopefully they're going to bounce up now, and really looking forward to their next games, because there was that confusion between like week 2 and now. So it was like, who's going to play the game? What's the prep going to be like? And I think it's really hindered them, and I think that's why they're there. And it's going to be interesting to see now that everything's properly sorted, what's going to happen with the team. But that's another thing that I'm looking forward to. So one match, like we said, can change everything, and now that their stuff's sorted, it could change everything.
Yeah, I think Colton's doing a really good job of brushing off the rust and getting used to the team that he didn't draft. And he's got a really good chance now to really play very well with this the team that he picked up.
Yeah, that's to say, one thing that's difficult for someone that's coming in is it's a draft that you've got to get used to. It's not something that you've prepped for, because a lot of people prep their drafts. They have a certain mons they want to get, and then backup mons that do the same job as the one if they didn't get, where Colton's just come in and gone, these are what you've got to use, do it. And now he's been given a few weeks, and I think he's really getting into momentum now, and he's really getting to grips with it, so it's going to be definitely interesting.
And our 11th place, we have Eric in the Seattle Onyx, who unfortunately has been going down the table since week 1, since he was at the very top of the pack. Of course, 1 win and 4 losses with only a -7 differential, which is pretty good for that record. I think Eric's just been on an unfortunate slump right now. His prep has been a little bit sloppy. His head looks like it's been in the game a little bit the last couple games before against Makati, where he was just a Hitmonlee show. But I think Eric's got a good chance to get back up in the pack with all the other people fighting for 2nd place. But this hopefully this losing streak won't get him too down, because he's definitely a great battler and can get right back up there.
But I think with Eric, it's been more of a mental state, and like I said, getting his head in the game. I think he's been doing his very best to try and get his head into the game, and this week was very close. He did, I say it's very close. It wasn't, like I said, he said it in the comment, he got dicked. I don't think he was expecting too much, but Will played extremely well this week, and I don't want that. What happened with Will to get him down. It was just a massive shock to all of us that like Will just knew exactly what he had to do, and that's what it's done. But it shouldn't get Eric down, and fingers crossed, like you said, he does get his head in the game and bounce back next week.
And down at number 12th, 12th place, we have the Southampton Sneasels and Jordan. Unfortunately, on his 5th loss of the season, with a -13 differential. Each week, his games have improved hugely.
He's getting better and better and better and better. I definitely think next week might be his week. I'm a good friend of Jack, and it's just talking to him, and Jack knows, even though Jordan's 0-5, Jack's got to bring his very best to beat him because of how well Jordan's been bouncing back each week. So I've been speaking to Jack, and he knows Jordan's going to give him a hard game. So like I keep saying, that's going to be my game to watch next week. It definitely will be interesting to see, and Jordan could take it.
Yeah, if his prep improves as it has been each week, if his playing has continues to improve the way he does, I think he's going to finally start getting a few wins and getting up there. But unfortunately, this is the one winless team that we're talking about at the time. But that record does not reflect the level of prep that's gone into his games.
No, it certainly doesn't. It's the table, the results that he's got don't reflect actually how he's been playing. Maybe his plays haven't been the best in the game, but like you said, in terms of prep and what he's done with and what he's been trying to do, it's been increasing each week. And I'm sure that he's going to do just as well, or he's going to try and bounce back next week, because he played extremely well this week, and he should take that on.
Absolutely. Let's quickly go over the games for next week. We talked about a couple of them when going over the matches, but let's just go a rundown of everything we should be excited for. Not actually next week, but 2 weeks from now. I believe this will be the bye week. Next games will be uploaded on the 15th of May. We have Bayern Munich and West Coast Wingles.
You actually said it right.
Shadi's been giving me such a hard time for mispronouncing, but European football clubs are sometimes so difficult for me to pronounce. I am but a humble American.
Yeah, like I say, Bayern Munich versus the West Coast Wingles, so Shadi versus Paulie. Going to be an amazing game.
Yeah, Shadi really wants to...
is a difficult player to play, and Paulie is on a roll. It's going to be...
Shadi really wants to get a couple more wins, but Paul has just so much momentum right now. He's been, I think, on a 3-win streak, and Shadi unfortunately is at a tiny bit of a slump. But we'll see how badly Shadi wants us to win, or how on fire Paul really is at the time. Alright, so our next game is Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Again, Will has been on fire. Another 3-win streak. Monatui is coming off just a 1 loss again. Same as Paul versus Shadi coming up here. Alright, so like I was saying, Will is on an absolute fire, and Monatui really needs to get a couple more wins to get back in the game. So we'll see. These are 2 amazing battlers, 2 amazing preppers, and really want to see who comes out on top of this game.
Yeah, next game we have Kelly versus Jolt, and this is a huge game just because of the fact that, like we said, during the bye week, but after the bye week, Kelly could be top of the table, and Jolt is playing really well, and we know how great Jolt is. So this is going to be very interesting to see at the least, because these two could be 3rd and 4th or 1st, and just this is so close between these two. It's going to be, I reckon it's going to be just as close a game as well. It's going to be a fantastic battle, I'm sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Coming in next, we have the Canberra 2 Cannons, or however Australians pronounce that, versus the Seattle Onyx. Colton going up against Eric. We mentioned that Colton is hopefully brushing some rust off with this team that he's getting used to. But Eric's coming off of a pretty bad losing streak, so hopefully he is really hoping to get this next win of his.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, like, every game next week has a little bit of story to it. It's like you've got like Shadi and Paulie, which is going to be like back and forth for the momentum. You've got Will and Tampa Bay Luxrays. Will is literally pushing on fire, and Mon is trying to bounce back. You've got Kelly and Jolt, which are fighting around top of the table. And even this one, you got Colton, like you said, is trying to get off a bit of rust, and then you've got Eric, who's trying to get off a losing streak. So both of these guys are going to be wanting to go at it, and it's just every game next week has something to it, which I think is fantastic.
And coming in after that, we've got the game that you're looking forward to most, with Jordan versus the Don Fanatic. Like we said, Jordan really needs to pick up a win here, and if he can take advantage of Jack on this tiny little slump right here, he's got a pretty decent chance right here.
As I say, like, Jordan's been improving over each week, and Jack definitely needs to be aware of the fact that he is doing that, and the fact that the prep has been on point. But I think Jack is going to be prepared as best he can, and needs to bring his best to be able to give Jordan a proper good game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then our last game for next week, Better Jack and the Melbourne Victory Stars versus Ruby Marrow and the Cleveland Bros. We've got some weather wars coming up. Not just weather wars, but also terrain wars. We've got sun and grassy terrain versus rain and electric terrain. So it's going to be really interesting. So see who counters which weather. If one of them decides to not bring their weather core, if the other one does and gets swept because of that.
That's like this game, like I said, weather core and terrain's core, and then you've got Better Jack, who could be bouncing up the table nearer to Ruby after his game with Kelly, sorry. So we don't know where other Jack's going to be, and then Ruby obviously wants to stay at the top of the table, and if other Jack loses and Kelly does go top of the table, then Ruby's going to want to be taking that top space back. So it's all back and forth, like say with the weather, the trains. It's going to be crazy, and you guys have got to wait a week to see it. So have we.
Yep.
Just gonna lie.
But then again, bye weeks are also good for some of these coaches. Some of them do need to play a bit of catch up, and others just need a time to step back and breathe and then focus back on Pokemon. All right, let's go over the Golden Pokeball Award real quick and see.
Let's see if this has been updated in Spreadsheet, shall we?
It actually looks like it has.
Oh my god! Since when?
It's a Christmas miracle.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
So coming in, the first two Mons are tied in kills and deaths, in differential therefore. But Diggersby coming in on top because it has fewer games played. Only playing 4 games, but with 11 kills and 3 deaths. And Garchomp with 5 games played, also 11 kills and 3 deaths. These two are starting to really run away with the GPA. It could be either of their games, but they're just starting to get so much farther ahead than all the other things. Like you see down at 10th, they've already got twice as many kills than what's at the bottom of the table you guys are going to see here.
Megazord X. It's just the Pokemon in there. Like, there's a few surprising ones in there, but I love the fact that they're in it. Like Diggersby for me is a massive surprise to be at number 1, but I love the fact that he's there right now because he's been putting up absolutely the finest of work, and Jolton has been doing him so well. I like to say that the fact that Hitmonlee, Ninetales, and Swampert are all kind of surprises for me as well. I know Mamoswine can be an absolute beast. Manaphy and Greninja are monsters, and we know about Scolipede from Ruby. So, but it's been incredible to see what Pokemon have been doing what and who's been coming through for who, because it's been so back and forth between certain Mons. It's been really interesting to see.
Yeah, we've got a lot of fantastic lower tier Mons. While they're lower on the list, they're still on the list, and they're farther ahead than things like Kyurem Black, things like Landorus, Jirachi, Mega Alakazam, Tapu Koko. And that's just going to show just how well some of these value picks can come in clutch for the coaches. They pick up something, they know how to use it, and they're just going to go for it.
Is it like we're saying, like we've got certain teams will have like two Mons in the top 10, as you see, like Cleveland Bros have got Mamoswine and Scolipede, but then you've got someone like Jolt who's only got 1 but it's top with Diggersby, and someone like Paulie who's only got Garchomp. It's been interesting to see what have been coming through for certain Mons and who's been crucial for certain people, but if it's working and working well, then there's no reason for them not to prep around it. But it also gives other players aware. People need to prep for Jolt's Diggersby, and they need to prep for Paulie's Garchomp, because as you can see from the Golden Pokeball Award, they're taking lives and doing it well.
Yeah, and for some coaches, towards the end of the season, we might see them losing their chance to get ahead of the table, but also still with something in the run for the Golden Pokeball Award. Which what I love is to see teams that are towards the bottom of the bunch, but also have something that has the most kills. The wins that they do get, of course, is reliant on their one MVP. So it'll be interesting to see if our either of the relegation teams in 10th or 12th get something in the top 3 kills.
I'd love to see that. It shows the diversity of the league and how different people use different Mons, and how different Mons change the aspect of the league. It's the fact that maybe they know that they need to come out strong, and getting something in the Golden Pokeball Award will prove the fact that they've done well by using this in a certain way.
Absolutely. But we're not quite halfway through the season, so we'll see if we've got something even farther down that can shoot its way up to the top, or if the likes of Diggersby, Garchomp, and Scolipede can keep their spot.
And hold their own. We know that, like I say, it's like Diggersby was a lot further down last week, and it's just saying that one game can change it completely, and it's shot straight back to the top again. So it just shows how different. There's a couple mons in from the 11th to 20th that can easily sweep a team and shoot straight into the top 10 as well. So it like saying, we're not even halfway through the season yet, and it's already getting nail biting to see who's going to come out on top.
Fantastic. So that just about does it for all the things that we need to go over for you guys. All of the important notes for what happened this week. So really quick, we're just going to plug everything that PPL related. Subscribe to the PPL channel, please. Go follow all of your favorite coaches. Of course, we do have the fan Discord for everyone to check out, to go root for your favorite coaches. Everyone's Twitter link, channel link should be in the description. Of course, ours as well. And just give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment to give us a shout out.
What did you think of this week? So you said you're bad at intros. You've just done a perfectly good one right there.
I'm also bad at outros, but I'm going to give that a shot this time.
I just said intros. I'm so good at this job. I'm such a good commentator, as you can tell. Alright then guys, we're going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like Trog said, make sure you hit the like button down below and the subscribe button. If you're new around here, make sure you check out all the links in the description. It will give you all that lovey-dovey good bullshit to all the PPL stuff going on. And we're going to get out of here because we've got now a shitload of editing to do. So we will see you guys later. Peace!
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.